Hi guys, today we're going to talk about solving linear inequalities. So it's going to be with one variable. This is kind of review from the equation unit. So same rule applies, guys. We have exactly same steps as we did it in unit 2. So let's go over the steps first. Step 1 is distribute. And step 2 is combine like terms. Step 3 is to move the variable to one side when we have variables on both sides of equation. And step 4 is add, subtract, property of inequality. So in unit 2, we talked about property of equality, but this unit, since it's an inequality unit, we're using property of inequality. So it's property of inequality, and you might see a word axiom that looks exactly the same thing as property. So they are used interchangeably. So you have to remember both property and axiom. Step 5 is multiplication or division property of inequality. Okay, so same rule applies. So if you need to pause the video and fill out the steps, please go ahead and do that. And one more thing to remember is remember to flip the symbol if you multiply or divide by a negative number. If the symbol was greater than, then you will change it into less than. If symbol was greater than or equal to, then you're going to change it into less than or equal to, vice versa. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the first question is 5x plus 13 is greater than 83. So we put a line through it as we did it before. And if I want to solve for x, what do I need to get rid of first? We need to get rid of 13 from both sides. So subtract 13, subtract 13. We don't have to distribute, we don't have to combine like terms, we don't have to move the variable. So we just move right into subtraction property of inequality. Then we subtract 13 from both sides. What do we have left? Then we have 5x. It's still greater than 70. Okay, so we use sub point. Then what do I need to do? So if I want to solve for x, I need to get rid of 5, so I divide by 5 from both sides. So x is greater than 7 divided by 5 is 1, and then 4. So we have x is greater than 14. So we use div po. Okay, and how do I graph it? We're going to just keep it simple. So we just create a line, and we're going to have 14 in the middle. Okay, what comes before 14? 13. What comes after 14? It's 15. So as you know, this is just greater than. There is no equal sign. So what kind of circle would that be? It's going to be open circle. And then, since it's greater than is to the right. Okay. If it's confusing you, what you can remember is, guys, your inequality sign always match with your arrow. Okay. That's something that I use all the time. It's a trick to remember, okay? All right, let's move on to the next question. Same thing. We all know how to distribute, so we're going to distribute first. 2 times n is 2n, plus 2 times 3 is 6, is less than -4. Can you pause the video and then solve the rest? You should be able to solve this problem and see if you can actually graph it, and then we'll check it together. All right, pause the video. Okay, so the answer was n is less than -5. Guys, note this. When you divide by 2, do I flip the symbol? No, because when we divide by a positive number, we don't have to flip the symbol. We do not flip the symbol. We only flip the symbol when you multiply or divide by negative. So n is less than -5. That was your answer. And since it was just less than without any line under, so it's going to be open circle, and it's to the left because it's less than. Again, your less than symbol matches with your arrow. That's how you double check it. All right, let's move to the next page. All right, so next problem is a little bit more complicated, but we can still handle this, right? So step 1, what was a step 1? We need to distribute. Do we have anything to distribute? Definitely. So we're going to distribute first. So when you distribute, okay, we distribute -3 to b. What does that become? -3b. -3 times -1. We got to be really careful with the double negative. It's going to turn to +1. And then -9 is greater than 18. So step 1 was distribute. What's step 2? We need to combine like terms. Do we have any like terms? Yes, we do. We have like terms, so I'm going to box it up. Do you guys remember? This is same rule. Okay, and what are like terms here? Like terms are numbers. Positive 1, negative 9. So we can definitely combine those two. So negative 3b, and then positive 1 minus 9 is negative 8 is greater than 18. Okay, now you should be able to do this by yourself. Okay, so finish it up. Okay, we're going to add 8 to both sides. Okay, so now we have negative 3b is greater than 26. Alright, so we use add point. Now what am I going to do? If I want to put b by itself, I need to get rid of negative 3 by dividing by negative 3. Oh, we're dividing by negative number. So when we divide by negative, what do I need to do, guys? Yes, we need to flip the symbol. So it's going to be, instead of greater than, it's going to be less than. And then 26 over 3, we can't really simplify it. So 26 over negative 3 will be my answer. Okay, so div po. And it doesn't really matter. We can still have a fraction answer. There is nothing wrong with it. You know what? I'm not going to really worry about too much. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and put 26 over negative 3 right in the middle. And what kind of circle would that be? Since there's no line under it, it's going to be open circle to the left. Okay, and then less than, and then less than. So always your arrow and inequality symbol, they match. Okay, so isn't that so easy, guys? All you need to do is you just need to follow exactly same steps that we did in equation. The only thing that you have to remember is to flip the symbol when you multiply or divide by negative. Okay, now I want you to pause the video and work on the next question. Once you're done with the video, please resume and then you can check your answers. Okay, pause the video. Alright, so here's your answer. X should be greater than or equal to negative 1. Because when you divide by negative number, you have to flip it. Okay, but I just want to quickly talk about this negative 7. When we subtract 7 from both sides, do I need to flip the symbol? No. Even though you see this minus or you see this negative, it doesn't really matter. The flip of rule only applies when we actually multiply or divide by negative. And also notice this, when we have a greater than or equal to, you see that the circle will be closed. Okay? Alright, let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is very simple rule, so we're going to do the same problem. Okay, so again, we need to solve for x. So what's the first thing that we need to get rid of? One that is farther away from x, which is 5. How do I get rid of 5? You subtract 5. Okay, so x over negative 2 is less than equal to 15 minus 5 is 10. Very good. Now, we want to isolate x again. So what do I need to do? Now this time it was divided by negative 2. So if I want to undo that, if I want to do the inverse of that, I have to multiply by negative 2. Oh, I'm multiplying by negative 2. You have to keep that in your mind. What do I need to remember? When I multiply or divide by negative number, I have to flip the symbol. 10 times negative 2 is negative 20. See, that's the only thing that you have to remember. That's the only difference between equation and inequality. Alright? So subpoi and multipoi. Alright? So, negative 20. What kind of circle? Closed circle, because there's equal sign and it's going to be greater than to the right. To the right. Okay? Alright, let's move on to the next question. Alright, we're going to actually do this question together, and then I want you to work on the next question by yourself. So, I'm going to put a line through it. First thing to remember is we need to distribute. Do we have anything to distribute? So we don't have to distribute. Step 2, we need to combine like terms. Do we need to combine like terms? I know there are like terms, but they're not on the same side. We can't combine like terms if they're not on the same side. Step 3, we need to move the variable to one side. Yes, we have variables on both sides, and that's very, very not nice. So we have to move the variable to one side. Now, I told you from the unit 2, you always want to get rid of the one that is lower. But when we deal with inequalities, I think it's much easier for you to move everything to the left, so you don't have to worry about the symbols and, you know, flipping again and back and forth, because it can get crazy. So I'm going to just move everything to the left. I want to move this 3x to the left side, so I'm going to subtract 3x. You see why? Because it was positive 3, I need to subtract 3. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. We have invisible 1 right there, so negative 1 minus 3x is negative 4x plus 1 is less than equal to 21. Okay? Now, you can finish it up. Can you actually pause the video and finish it up? And make sure you write down the steps and graph it. Alright, pause the video. Alright, so one rule that you have to remember is when you divide by negative, you need to flip the symbol. So now it's greater than, and the arrow goes to the right. Greater than to the right, okay? And also, what I want you to remember is when you move the variable to one side, our steps is move variable, but since we are subtracting 3x from both sides, we use subtraction property of inequality. And then we subtract 1, so we use subtraction property of inequality again, alright? So now I want you to pause the video. I want you to work on the next question. Guys, I'm kind of going fast because this is kind of review from a few units ago. But if you feel like I'm going too fast, you may pause the video at any time and work through the problems. It's not a problem, all right? So now pause the video and work on the next question. Okay? So the answer was x is greater than equal to negative 19. All right, and it's to the right. All right, so that's it. And we're going to be working on the word problems together. So remember those steps, guys. Those same steps apply every single time. And one rule that you have to remember is the flipper rule. Okay, and I'm going to ask you what that is, so keep that in your mind. All right, then I'll see you in class. Bye.